Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican.
I voted for Trump the very first election.
Border is your number one issue?
Probably, yeah.
Because of Donald Trump?
Yes, yeah.
Hey everyone, it's David, producer for The Benjamin Dixon Show, and like it or not, this election cycle, we're all just going to want it to be over with already. I wanted it to be over with before it even started. As usual, everyone's making their predictions based on their bias, based on their narratives. I've seen people say that Biden is worse on every single count than Trump. I've seen people suggest that neither Trump or Biden will make it to the general for a myriad of reasons. And I've seen people say that Biden is the most successful Democratic president in modern history. But barring any shockers or anything that is completely unpredictable, which is possible because let's face it, in the age of Trump, we're just in unprecedented waters. But barring any unforeseen circumstances, we are going to have two candidates, both around the age of 80, both showing signs that they're aging. One showing signs of aging physically, Biden, and one showing signs of aging in terms of confusion and cognitiveness, Trump. At the end of the day, and despite everyone wanting to put in their opinions and wanting the issues most concerning to them to be the deciding factor, I really think this election is going to come down to the independent vote and the unlikely vote. Those that aren't registered to a party and those voters that polls don't account for because they don't vote regularly. Not to mention that polls are done via landline phone still, and how many millennials and younger people have those or answer those. Everyone wants to point to the polls. Honestly, the polls won't matter until spring or summer of this year. And national polls matter even less because our elections aren't determined by the popular vote, by the overall number of votes. They're determined by the Electoral College, so you have to really look at the state polls. I won't tell anybody who to vote for. I think Ben has a policy generally that he doesn't tell people who to vote for. And we definitely don't vote shame, shame you for who you voted for. There's a lot of people on the left that are refusing to vote for Biden. And understandably, they're refusing to vote for Biden because of what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank, what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. And it's understandable because as much as Biden's policy is not surprising, at least to me, it's disappointing, it's enraging, and it's horrifying. On the other hand, anybody that thinks that Trump will be better than Biden on anything in terms of foreign policy, but especially on Israel, that's just illusion. And while these are anecdotal, I'll point you to some of the comments we're seeing out of New Hampshire from both independent voters, because you don't have to be registered one way or the other to vote in the primary in New Hampshire, as well as from Republican voters.
I voted for Trump the very first election. Yes, I did.
In 2016?
In 2016. And
why not now?
Why not now? Because I feel that, I'm not going to tell you what I really feel, but I think that he's not a very honest person. And I think that he did a real disservice to our country on January 6th.
And was that when you lost faith in him?
No, I'd lost faith in him a long time before that.
Border is your number one issue?
Probably, yeah. I can control the rest of the things myself. Hard work and savings, but one thing I can't control is the border and who's coming across it. So if she says she's going to close the border, and then that's the one thing I can't control. So let's do it.
Unlikely voters, and also women voters.
I voted for Nikki Haley because I was voting against Donald Trump.
And what propelled you to get to this point?
I'm 74 years old. I've lived in a constitutional democracy all my life. I want to remain that way, and I want my grandchildren to grow up in one, not a dictatorship.
And I'm curious, over the last two elections, have you voted Trump in the past? Was it something where you voted for him, you trusted him, and you were disappointed?
Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican.
Anything but Trump.
That was your priority.
That's my priority.
Is that the biggest reason you supported Nikki Haley?
Yeah, I'd say.
Because of Donald Trump?
Yes, yeah. And I have no problem with the ladies running things. I have one here.
Now, again, these are anecdotal and it's not scientific. It's also only one state and it's not a diverse state. And while I won't make any predictions about the election, A, because we're far out, and B, because it's just an unprecedented time that we're in. This cycle is unprecedented. It's a former president running for president again while facing multiple criminal cases and getting more and more unhinged, volatile, and outrageous. What I will say is, though, in the 2020 election, Trump definitely lost supporters. If you look at 2016 and then look at 2020, he may have gotten more votes than he did in 2016 because more people overall voted in 2020, but he had less support and had lost supporters overall. After January 6th, I think we're going to see that he lost more supporters as a result of that. But I think it shows that outside of the MAGA base, out of Trump's core base, the people that are unmoved and are loyal to him no matter what, there are a lot of people that played with the idea of Trump, that gave him a chance, that toyed with it, that toyed with his different style and shaking up politics, saw the chaos it brought, saw the trouble it brought, saw what it exposed in the system, and are saying no thanks. On the other hand, there's a lot of people up in arms and very upset with Biden on immigration. There's a lot of people that are buying into the anti-immigration narrative. And there's also a lot of people that are blaming Biden for the economy. Now, honestly, I acknowledge that the president doesn't have a whole lot of power over the economy. He might have influence on things he says and impact on trade, but he doesn't have a whole lot of control over the economy. That being said, the economy is slowly turning around. It's not being felt as much as we should be feeling it because of corporate gouging. Products are still being sold at higher prices despite inflation being lower because corporations are taking advantage and trying to milk it for all it's worth. So while they're feeling the ease, they're not letting us feel the ease. So we're not seeing it as much as we could, but it's starting to ease up. Prices have slightly gone down, and even gas is going down. And since Americans vote based on perception, if the economy continues to move in that direction, those poll numbers are going to change once people feel the slightest bit of relief. We also can't forget Trump's criminal cases, including the Georgia case where he can't be pardoned by a president, and both DC cases, and see where those cases go leading up to the election. And on immigration, I honestly think it might be a wash because as much as Republicans have been complaining and screaming bloody murder over the supposed immigration crisis, they now have the opportunity to pass border legislation and what's actually being called one of the most conservative border bills in recent history, authored by a very conservative member of Congress. And because Donald Trump is telling them not to, Speaker Johnson is saying it's not going to get passed. So they've been complaining about the problem, and now when they have the opportunity to do something about it, so they've been complaining about it as a political tactic, using it as a wedge issue, which we know, and now when they have the opportunity to actually do something, they're finding excuses not to do it. And I think the fact that they won't have anything to show for themselves, even outside of immigration, the Republican Congress just hasn't done anything. If you've made it this far in the video, I do want to share one thing that our friend Olay O'Loren put out. She put out a voting guide and spoke with a whole range of people, including our hosts. She spoke with Ben, but one person that she spoke with was FD Signifier. He's an educator and a YouTuber, and I think he really laid out the best way to approach voting. And there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this, that vote their conscience, and that's perfectly fine. I did that in 2016 and have no regrets, but I live in a blue state. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. But I do think that this really exemplifies how voting in a general election, not a primary, a general election, should be approached.
So I feel like I have the best take on this. Nobody's gonna be better than what I'm about to give you right here, right? Vote like you wash your hands. The same energy that when you take a shit, or you played you outside, or you've been doing something, right? You wash your hands. You don't wash your hands because you like to. You don't wash your hands to keep you from getting shot or keep you from getting cancer or anything like that. You wash your hands because it's a basic, minimal thing you can do to lower the risk of catching some bullshit. If I didn't live in Georgia,
Yeah.
I might vote for Conera West. I might vote for insert random here doesn't have a real chance as a personal statement or as a branding strategy or some shit.
Yeah.
I live in a low key swing state.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. You know why? Because I took a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, seriously, that's it. Because even when we wash our hands, we're not germ-free. We don't get rid of all the germs. We don't get rid of all the shit. And you can think of, and side note for all those that are going to say that there's no use in voting for the lesser of two evils, I'm all in favor of third parties. But at least in the general elections, they have to be viable. But at least in the general elections, when we're up against a threat as serious as Trump, they have to be viable. And we don't have viable third parties in this country, at least not yet. Before I sign off, I just want to say that these are my opinions, and they're not representative of Benjamin Dixon, Rebecca Azor, or DJ exclusive James Williams. They're my opinions. You can take them as you will. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Ben expects to be putting out some more consistent content starting shortly, and we'll be back with more.